Alright, hello, this is Anthony, and this is Halo Combat Evolved. I'm excited to start this here. This is something that I've been intending to do for a long time. It's something between a kind of Let's Play and virtual museum tour of this thing, this Halo Combat Evolved, which is a work which I really appreciate quite a lot and think has a lot of fine stuff going on, which is really lost on a lot of people, and I'd like to share it with the internet in a very personal way. I'll elaborate a lot more in a little bit what I mean by that, why I think it's important that something like this be done, but for the minute I'll just introduce the thing here very briefly, then let it start and speak for itself, set the scene with its introductory cutscene, and then when control is handed back to me, I'll be able to speak very comfortably at my own pace, so just bear with me and the game for just a moment, and we'll be able to start properly in just a moment. Skip this cutscene or watch it at your pleasure. Entirely at your discretion. We will just have a few seconds to start, a few seconds to load, and then we'll have about a minute of scene setting, skip or watch, and then I'll be back with you very shortly.
Cortana, all I need to know is, did we lose them?
I think we both know the answer to that.
We made a blind jump. How did they...
Get here first? The Covenant ships have always been faster. As for tracking us all the way from Reach, at light speed my maneuvering options were limited.
We were running dark, yes?
Until we decelerated, no one could have missed the hole we tore in subspace. They were waiting for us on the far side of the planet.
So, where do we stand?
Our fighters are mopping up the last of their recon picket now, nothing serious. But I've isolated approach signatures for multiple CCS-class battle groups, making 3 capital ships per group. And in about 90 seconds, they'll be all over us.
Well, that's it then. Bring the ship back up to Combat Alert Alpha. I want everyone at their stations.
Everyone, sir?
Everyone. And Cortana.
Hmm?
Let's give our old friends a warm welcome.
I've already begun.
Attention, all combat personnel. Please report to your action stations. Platoon, secure airlocks on deck 11. 14th platoon rendezvous with 22nd Tactical at Bulkhead Charlie 14.
You heard the lady. Move like you got a purpose.
This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill.
Once again, it is our job to finish what the flyboys started. We are leaving this ship, platoon, and engaging the Covenant on solid ground. When we meet the enemy, we will rip their skulls from their spines and toss them away, laughing. Am I right, Marines? Sir, yes, sir! Mm-hmm. Damn right I am. Now move it out! Double time!
Attention all personnel. We are re-engaging the enemy. External and internal contact imminent.
All you greenhorns who wanted to see Covenant up close, this is gonna be your lucky day.
Whoa. Sir? Right. Let's thaw him out. Okay. Bringing low-level systems online. Cracking the case in 30 seconds. He's hot! Deploying the pins in 5.
Tube shows green. Cycle complete.
Alright, control is back in my hands. Sorry about that kind of awkward interlude. I could have skipped it, I could have spoken over it, but I thought I'll give the game a moment to kind of set the scene for itself. You could read those subtitles, and now, I don't remember the condition for this, but the game is giving us a tutorial, it's not skipping it this time, and that doesn't really bother me. It's another moment for the game to kind of settle into itself. You can skip this or just kind of take in the game. I often find things like this interesting, even to watch, if not play myself. It's just, you can get a look for how the thing is generally, the shape of the game, the look of it. Some people find those kinds of details interesting, some don't. You can see it's just a kind of tutorial dressed up as stuff which makes sense within the game, but I'll quickly play along with what the game is telling me to do here, and then I will explain what's going on. This is not the tone of what I intend to do here. You can read the subtitles if you want to know exactly what's being said, but we've woken up in there, we're being told what to do. I'm sorry about this, just bear with me for a moment, or skip, it's really not important. Invert pitch, see if we like it better that way. Old Xbox game, it's very funny, they have to make sure that you're comfortable with how to use a controller, it's very funny. They explain some concepts which seem rather basic to us now, but again, this is all rather boring and incidental stuff. I don't want to tell you, hey, did you know Halo was the game where they, really nailed the way that controllers do first-person shooter stuff. That's very inane. I'm not trying to make that kind of thing. This is very much a reaction to that, but again, I'll be able to explain more fully once the game kind of takes the training wheels off and really hands things over to me, which will be just a second. Again, sorry, just bear with me. You can either treat this like a very slow, relaxed-paced video to waste time with, or you can skip ahead to when I'm actually speaking about things I care about. Either way, I'm not offended. The game is just making sure that I understand how my health bar works. And now these spaceship crew are telling me that I'm going to get moving in just a moment.
We'd better get moving. We'll find you weapons later.
Okay, I'll leave the self-diagnostics running at least. Oh God, they're trying to get...
And here's some dramatic stuff. Again, I'm sorry if I'm boring you, but this game does start a little slow, like most games, and it's not super well suited for what I'm going to do. Now we're going to be mean to that guy and fob him off so I can start talking. What am I doing? Why do I consider this so important? There are countless hours of Halo on the internet. Why in the world does it need me to talk about it? Because I think I really have something of a different kind to anything online to say about this game, and this is a novel way of presenting it. If you know me, you may know that I've already written about this game at length in various places. I have many opinions which are a bit out there on video games and art and science fiction in general. I have a lot to say about a lot of different things, and I really think that Halo is something which is really best. I can talk about a lot of it, but I can do a lot more by showing you this thing. The idea is, again, as I said, it's a kind of a let's play, it's a kind of a walking tour. I'm not trying to immerse myself, I'm not trying to go fast, I'm not trying to entertain you with affectations of extreme novelty or excitement. I'm not going to scream and shout over this thing. I intend to basically look it over thoroughly and try to share the impressions of it that it makes upon me with you as much as possible. I have a lot to say, not just about Halo, and not just about science fiction and video games, but also how they're presented online. I have some kind of meta thoughts I might share now and then on what we could be doing with this kind of format and aren't. A very strong and sincere conviction I have is that most people at the same time have nothing of objective value to say about games. Anything that resembles a technical observance which is said is basically a lie or an affectation or a bluff. People really have no interesting thoughts which can actually help you understand what's going on. And also when people are trying to be personal, I really think there's very little, if anything, of interest going on there. People might occasionally say something means a lot to them, but how often have you really gotten the impression that the thing takes on a really interesting character as viewed through a certain person's perspective? Can you really think of a person who claims to like this game online where you can really say, in a distinct way, oh, to that person it is this particular thing? I don't just mean in the abstract a kind of thematic reading of the narrative or any some such, but that is what I'll be going into a bit. But more generally, have you ever gotten the impression that something really made a strong impression, was very much read in a particular way by a particular person, and it's not just kind of the person just basically filling time with this thing in front of them? It could be any other thing. Where I'm going with all of that is that I think that I have a very personal, particular picture of Halo, and I would like to share that to you. Refraction might be the word for it. The thing through me, you will get a picture of me, you'll get a picture of Halo, and it's very much bending through me. It becomes its own kind of picture. How I believe I've explained this before is, I think that the really great potential value in a video game is that a Let's Play, particularly of a video game, is it can be an experience of a person and a thing at the same time, which is greater than either of those things on their own. An extreme example I invoke is Chris Chan playing Animal Crossing. The moment that someone that strong a character and that shamelessly themselves picks up anything, it is no longer the thing that it is now the thing as seen by them. Him playing Animal Crossing is probably the most interesting video recording of anybody playing that game, because it is so utterly warped or distorted or refracted by the personal character of the person touching it. Someone that shamelessly, people might say vainly, narcissistically, putting themselves into the experience. It is not just Animal Crossing, it is Animal Crossing according to Chris Chan. That is a very unique kind of experience that you won't get by just seeing the man talk or seeing the game in action in itself. It's very much, pardon me, it's a new kind of experience created by that, and when I see things like that, I think, what if a smart person did that, basically? And this is me sort of, puffing myself up a bit. This is me thinking, okay, I'm going to be the smart person who does a Chris Chan-like indulgent playthrough of something greatly appreciated, and hopefully I have more things of general interest to say, but again, the idea is that you are kind of in this for me and my thoughts as much as for Halo, and I hope that I am more interesting by having this to bounce off of, and even more importantly, I hope that Halo is made more interesting by my perspective upon it. Now, I had one more thought in mind. I hope I haven't lost it. It was just that... oh, never mind. I'm sure it'll come back to me anyway. So what I was saying... yes, it's very much about viewing Halo in this kind of way. Yes, that last thought I had, I didn't lose it. It was just... again, I've watched various people, big and small YouTube talking heads, talk about this game, play through it, and I was really struck one time. I thought, I'm tired, I'm in a terrible mood, I want to watch someone appreciate my favorite game, let's see if we can get that. You find established talking heads who claim to be, established, entrenched experts or interesting people talking about them, and you fire up any of these big prestigious names over the top of Halo, and what are they doing? They're basically screaming at it like a moronic toddler. It's not just an insult to the level of fine craft which went into this amazing thing that we're looking at. It's also, frankly, an insult to me and the person who did it, to think like, okay, maybe you're not a genius like me, but is this really all that it stimulates in you, just noise and novelty? It's quite upsetting, so I thought, this is really a niche which is lacking the kind of appreciative Let's Play. Maybe there's a few here and there, but frankly, I think all of those people have now been roped into video essays, which are their own problem, and I could go into that at some point, but I don't want to just stand in this room complaining forever. I'll just make some very brief points now, before moving on, basically doing what I intend to do for the rest of the thing. I want to show you this room real quick. I think it's a very nice, well-realized science fiction design. I think everything about Halo has been so well realized for so long in a way that it feels seamless. It doesn't draw any attention to itself. The kind of virtual production design of the whole thing is so good that people don't think about it. Like, I really think most science fiction films really struggle to reach this level of visual coherence and sense, skillful execution, and the amount of what's going on. It's something that I'll get into later. I think it's very much that what Halo is about, what it has going on, I think very intelligent people made this with far more elaborate intentions than most people give them credit for. It is coded in down to very fine details. People like to think that they read incidental details quite heavily in video games now, but I think it's generally the very heavy, affected, and frankly crude things which get in, like a very elaborate scene will be set up with a light shining on it and it all but screams what's going on, and people think, look, I'm being shown, not told. But Halo is very much something which I would almost say it doesn't even respect its audience's intelligence. It's almost like it was made to not be understood, because frankly it hasn't been understood for so long. I have to think they'd have said something if they were upset by that. Halo is just an extremely elaborate, almost deviously clever work, in my opinion, and we'll get into that more as we go, but just look at this very nice, very pretty utilitarian science fiction room. It looks a bit like Ridley Scott, it looks a bit like James Cameron, it looks a bit like Stanley Kubrick. It's got lots of things going on, and they aren't just arbitrarily channeling future space military aesthetic. I'll get more into that as we go. There is very much intention and thought. Everything about this is very well thought out in a way that I'll get to later. But let's follow this cryotech man for the moment, and I'll actually play the game's game for a moment, and oh dear, we lost him. I'll actually play along with what we're meant to be doing for a minute, and yes, just give you the experience of the game as it was meant to be played, and my thoughts will be constant, getting more and less, more and less elaborate as we go. Look, we're about 20-30 minutes into Halo, and there's a man with a gun, finally, as you're promised on the box art. Yeah, if you want to see people getting shot, I'll be doing a bit of that, but this isn't that kind of play. This isn't going to be me getting excited. It's very much, again, the kind of virtual museum walking tour. That's what I'm into, and I think this is really something which deserves close scrutiny. I can look it over at my own pace. It's really quite a brilliant way to present something. I almost wish I could do this with movies as well, but YouTube probably wouldn't let me. Just walking through it scene by scene, kind of pausing and pointing out. Actually, if I did that slowly enough, I probably could. If you want to think of kind of a relatable example of what I intend to do here, it's kind of like a Rob Ager-like experience of a game, only instead of editing as well, to kind of, as a kind of self-conscious correction of the video essays and the kind of, as a self-conscious correction of video essays and Let's Plays, I am intending to kind of combine them to cut back on the excesses of both. It's a Let's Play which isn't loud and inane, and it's a video essay which is too grounded in the immediacy of the experience of what this game actually is to basically get off the rails and just basically waste time with verbal gibberish for 90 minutes in which nothing is actually said. My intention is to show you the thing as it is, grounded by the experience, and every moment actually appreciating what is here rather than just basically flying through it without considering it. It is a thoughtful Let's Play, it is a let's appreciate, whatever you want to call it. I hope you get the picture. I'm going to try not to get too caught up on myself here now and just actually power through this thing and show you some things and just speak about it as we go. Oh no, there's an alien. And he's chased off. Good job, team. Cortana says get to the bridge. I can tell you what Cortana is and such as we go in a little bit. Actually, I might call this video here just to make sure nothing has broken, and I'll get back to you very shortly. Thank you for listening.